Another quick Path of Exile talk today because everyone is excited about Path of Exile 2 and I'm glad to see my community coming back to my class choices video. Thank you very much. Good to see you all. Alright, so I went through the 2.2 hour video where Ziggy D has interviewed the game directors of Path of Exile 2, and I very much recommend that interview if you have a lot of time on your hands, kinda, or wanna listen to it like I did podcast style. But I have highlighted a few points, like 7 or 8 points that resonated with me the most. There was a lot of interesting information there, but no chance a lot of people would have 2+ hours to spend and pay attention to every bit. So today I'm going to tell you what resonated with me the most. It doesn't mean that it's everything or most important things, and I welcome what you spotted in that interview if you watched it in the comments down below. Let's talk to each other. Let's see, maybe I have missed something. Okay, so first of all, questions are obviously asked about the amount of content that we are receiving inside of this early access on December the 6th. So how long is there to play? Because people want to understandably determine how invested they can get into the characters. Will they get wiped and all that kind of stuff. So apparently there is a ton of content as advised in the official video and now confirmed in the interview, so enough stuff to get through the new campaign, play through Christmas and into the new year, into 2025. Of course, again, officially stated that the campaign, the first three acts that are in the early access, will last us 25 hours, about 25 hours. That's a lot, to be honest with you. That's pretty significant, and I agree with game directors here. Are there going to be wipes and resets? Yes. Short answer is yes, there will be, but at the same time they said that some of the stuff will carry through and kind of accumulate over time and not be wiped, while some of it might be wiped. Okay, so as far as that's concerned, don't be too attached to the individual character. So be okay to be on a journey of some resets happening occasionally. Yeah, it's not going to be your one and all be all character that will go from early access all the way to the live game. No chance, that's not going to happen. Okay, and there will be some new leagues, some new resets. Like I said, that's good to hear. I love a fresh start, actually. So for me, that's actually not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's a chance to re-roll, try another build, other kind of stuff. I don't know what about you, but I'm that kind of player, okay? As far as the rest of the kind of second point was more on a beta roadmap, so that's changing, obviously, because they even said that they have first planned to push for extra acts, like 3 acts and then up to Act 6, to give it to us in the beta phase as quickly as they can, from early access into beta. And now they are repositioning it to make sure that the end game is polished, and then they'll be adding presumably those extra acts. So yeah, what game director said is that roughly it's at least 6 months worth of this early access beta content, but from what I understood, again, they were rambling a little bit on in this interview, but I understood that they very desperately want to release in 2025. So it looks like towards the end, maybe next Christmas, like 2025 Christmas, they might actually release the game. But who knows? Who knows? As far as plan for PoE 1, because I am quite attached to PoE 1, give me a new exciting league and I will still produce content for PoE 1 and play the game in parallel to PoE 2. Depending on how much I'm hooked on PoE 2. I might just forget everything and play PoE 2, who knows, okay? But basically the plan is to keep going. Luckily with PoE 1, they have stolen quite a few development resources from PoE 1 team to reinforce this launch and preparation for launch of PoE 2. Completely understandable. I work with development teams all the time in my real life job. And they are planning to then, once the game is launched, and hopefully there are not too many issues on supporting of that launch, they're going to pull people back into the PoE 1, and then they'll basically support 2 live games, which is great to hear. They were talking about that shadow figure that appears in the cinematic, in the opening cinematic that has been shown to us, revealed very recently. Very cool, a very cool, unkillable physically figure, whatever. And apparently that started a lot of conversation in the community and in the team between the directors and the developers about this shadow ascendancy, like Val Thaumaturge. I never know how to pronounce that word. That's cool, sounds great to me. And speaking of ascendancies, there was apparently also a perception that PoE 1 ascendancies are transitioning into PoE 2. And yeah, there are some names of those ascendancies even told to us. So we have Pathfinder, we have Deadeye as an example, right? That sounds familiar. However, it sounds like even though the names of the ascendancies are sometimes the same, sometimes new, and some of the talents, such as Deadeye's Tailwind, for example, is still there, it's quite changed. So We haven't looked very intimately, very closely at this, and very soon the game is almost upon us. We will have a look and be talking about this all the time here, by the way. Yeah, but it looks like it's different, which to me, again, is great. I want to treat it as a different game, almost. Me personally. What about you? I don't know. Atlas, min-maxing exploration as a player was an interesting point that I kind of nitpicked, not nitpicked, kind of cherry-picked, not nitpicked, out of their interview. They're saying that deliberately the Atlas has open structure, so you can, that way, with that open structure of exploration, you can either beeline to a specific node or you can explore rather freely. But typically the behavior that they designed this around is that you will see those towers, those big towers, kind of emergent ahead and kind of in the fog of war, kind of covered in the fog of war. So typically the behavior they expect us to have and likely to see is that we will sort of head towards the tower, and then once we are at the tower, the area will reveal itself, and we will know also what kind of maps are there around that area, and we will be able to just explore there around the tower and then go to the next tower, Okay, it's fine. I'm not particularly pro or against this system. I think it's okay for what it is. They also pointed out that the maps no longer have tiers. So instead of those, there is variety of maps. And what game director says that instead of accumulating those multiple tiers of the maps, and that's how you used to fill out your progression of the Atlas in PoE 1, now we will look for variety of maps, for more unique maps, for more different choice. I think, again, for the 5th time, choice is great, and I think this variety of choice and this way they decided to go about it is good. Sounds good to me. That's what I picked up. Now, a very popular question, even in my comments, I think, to my first video, was about this WASD shooter style kind of move, yeah, with the buttons. How prevalent it is and how much better it is to be used now that it's supported on all classes. I'm perfectly aware that it's not just Mercenary or Ranger for that matter. Well, it's interesting because apparently it's great from the people who have been, from the community creators who have been invited into those sessions and who have had a chance to play. Apparently it works really, really well. However, what's very interesting is that the directors say that now that they sit down with the developers, initially everyone was sort of very drawn and playing WASD a lot, left and right. Now a lot of them, they didn't say exactly the proportion, but a lot of them have flipped back to using click to move. So if you're not into WASD, it sounds like it's still perfectly controllable, perfectly playable as a click to move kind of game. I'm still probably going to go with WASD personally on my Mercenary walkthrough, yeah, because I think it's just built for that. It's like, it's the intended way to play. Can you play in other ways? Yes, you can, but if this is the intended way to play, why go against nature, so to speak? But it's good to hear that something like Witch, a Summoner Witch, could still very nicely be controlled by click to move, which I think is more normal for a Witch, personally, yeah? And final thing that I thought it was just like a meme question, but it was actually interesting because ZGD asked them what is the best class to play. Of course, it's subjective choice, right? I shared mine with you. But they gave some statistics. So obviously they run kind of internal surveys and focus group surveys to see exactly how people feel about different classes playing. That's very, very interesting, right? So monks apparently are dying most often. But at the same time, apparently marginally lead as #1 satisfaction from the gameplay. Because they are like a glass cannon, like a melee glass cannon. You dish out a lot of damage, you dash in and out, but you die often. But at the same time, the gameplay must be most visceral, most like full on, which is interesting to know. I'm still not changing my opinion on monks, by the way. And warrior apparently is the 2nd highest satisfaction rate class. Also dies, but also like, yeah, baby, awesome. So that's good to hear. And then one of them said, one of the directors said that they are currently playing Mercenary specifically, and they are loving Mercenary. And Mercenary is in my, spoiler alert if you haven't watched that video, is in my top 3 of the classes and ascendancies that I'm going to play. I'm going to be a Witch Hunter Mercenary as one of them. And apparently yet another confirmation that it's a lot of fun, a lot of, like, recommended for new players, apparently, at least according to the game director. Again, everything is subjective, but certainly a new player is going to have a lot less success on a very squishy, however visceral, however enjoyable, but very squishy monk. Go figure. And that's all I have for you today, my friends. Hopefully this saved you rather than watching the whole interview. But I still recommend that you do, because in the description of their video, of the original video that I'll link in the description to mine, doesn't matter, there are chapters, so you can flick between chapters, but sometimes from the description of the chapter it's hard to tell what's of most interest. But it's well worth your while, I think. If you're a PoE fan, I don't know, I don't think you have an excuse not to do it. I hope you've enjoyed this very little check-in with the community. Once again, don't panic. I play Brawl Stars on my mobile until Path of Exile launches, and then probably occasionally throughout the thing. So if you are Brawl Stars community, stick around, there will be videos. If you're Path of Exile, re-emergent, waking up community of mine, definitely stick around. Don't be put off by Brawl Stars videos. In fact, I encourage you to play in the meantime while we wait for PoE 2 to start, rather than rehashing these news and stuff. Let's just enjoy something before it starts and then go hard, okay? How does that sound? Give the video a quick like, come back for more, and I'll talk to you next week.